Hello and welcome to the Categorically Romance Podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Bree.
And today we have returning to us again. We're so happy. Author Nan Reinhardt is back. Welcome back to the podcast. Catch us up with you. How have things been going for you?
Thank you so much for having me back. I just love talking to you guys. It's so much fun. How have things been going? Well, we had kind of a rough summer, but we're through it now and things are looking up. My husband had a kind of a little health issue that was pretty scary at first, but he's doing great now. And so we're back on track and getting ready for Christmas with the grand boy. And I'm writing and working. So
yeah, we're glad your husband's okay.
Yeah.
he is. He's doing fine. Really fine.
It is currently NaNoWriMo as we record this. And in one of your recent Sunday snippets, you shared that you're doing a mini Nano with a friend. What advice do you have for anyone participating in NaNoWriMo for the first time?
I would say don't panic. Really, seriously, it's not life or death. It's just writing. And if you don't get 1,600 words in a day, it's not a big deal. The main thing I think is to write every day. That's the point behind Nano is to write every day, and don't go back and edit. It's not a time for editing. It's a writing exercise, and you can go back at the end of November and edit all you want. But Liz and I meet up online every morning at 6:00, and we both write or try to for a couple of hours. Some days it's a 2,000 word day. Other days it's a 200 word day. It just depends on what's happening. I've never really actually signed up to do Nano for real because I don't work well under pressure, in spite of the fact that I'm usually the author who always ends up writing the last 15,000 words of a book in the last 2 weeks before deadline. But I would prefer to be, not so much under pressure. So I'm just not good about that. Liz and I are doing a great job. We're having a lot of fun. And I've gotten, since the 1st of November, I've gotten about 11,000 words in, which isn't too bad.
Oh my God.
Very good.
Yeah, I think, Aaron, we're both like unofficial NaNoWriMo participators. Like we never actually sign up to do it officially.
No, and I'm not even tracking my progress. Like I try to do some years. I'm really, like Nan was saying, I'm trying to just write every day. And another author told me recently that, even if you don't get the 50,000 words, even if you get 5,000 words, that's 5,000 words you didn't have before.
That's great.
So
That's
true.
the way to look at it.
Well, we love that you not only update your blog with snippets of what's going on in your life, but that you also host author spotlights. What do you enjoy about blogging?
Well, as far as the author spotlights are concerned, I really enjoy introducing new authors to my readers and supporting all authors, particularly my Thule colleagues, because they are all such great writers. I've always felt like between authors, this isn't a competition.
Yeah.
We all have to help each other out. And so I've never really thought of it as a competition. So bringing authors onto my website it's just a treat for me to have these guest authors. And I've discovered a lot of new authors doing that. So it's fun to introduce them. And as far as blogging is concerned, I just think it's fun. The Sunday Snippet's been a chance to share a little bit of my personal life with my readers, which they seem interested in that, even though I'm just like the most ordinary person on the planet. But they seem interested. And I'm like, well, okay, sure, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. And the snippets give me a chance to test scenes on readers and give them a little peek into what's happening in River's Edge and what's coming up. So,
yeah, I think in your recent one, you were just like, you were sitting at the table, staring at outside the window and describing the leaves. And then you go off on this totally random tangent. And at the end, you're like, so what does this have to do with what I was originally talking about? Nothing. And I was like, this is so Nan.
That was, I think I said in that snippet that I'm having this heart thing going on, and I'm just not. Tomorrow I go see the cardiologist and we find out what's happening. I've had this problem before and they medicated it and it's been fine for about 10, maybe longer, maybe 12 years. And now all of a sudden it's kicking back up again. And so I don't know what we're going to do to fix it. I'm hoping it's just going to be, let's up the med a little bit. So that's what we're hoping.
Well, we'll definitely have you in our thoughts, but I have to say the post was also funny because you were like, you asked the doctor, like, does it have anything to do with my fat ass? And the doctor's like, it has nothing to do with your fat ass.
I know. I blame everything on my fat ass. It doesn't matter what is going on. If I've got a bruise, it's my fat ass. And my doctor is constantly saying to me, Nan, that's nothing to do with the size of your ass.
Nothing to do.
Ask is fine. So,
Well, speaking of your blog, another of your recent posts was a character interview you did with Harley Cole, the heroine in The Fireman's Christmas Wish. Was coming up with the answers for this easier or more difficult to come up with than you thought?
I think it was easier.
Okay.
I really, it was the most fun I'd had writing a blog in a long time. I just really wanted something different for release day, something that wasn't just straight promo. And I used to love Inside the Actors Theater. Have you guys ever seen that? Or Inside the
No.
Actors Studio?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
With James Lipton. He asked the best questions, you know? And so it felt like kind of a fun thing to do for the blog. And to be honest with you, Harley was easy to interview because there's so much of me in her. She's, of all the characters I've written, there's so much of me in Harley that it was, there's a lot of me in Beck too. So this is kind of the Nan book. So it was fun. It was fun to ask her those questions and to answer them the way I thought she would. I thought Becker would be harder to do. So I picked Harley.
Well, The Fireman's Christmas Wish is out now, book number 3 in the Lange Brothers series. How does it feel for the series to be complete?
You know, this is kind of crazy, but I know I'm going to miss these guys. They're going to be in the other books. We're going to see them again. But those brothers were just so much fun to write. And I really haven't had any time to even blink before I had to start on the next series immediately. The Weaver sisters. You might remember them. They were two of those they're the triplets that their family owns the marina.
Mm-hmm.
And two of them took Lauren out to the riverboat to meet Max at the end of falling for the doctor. But I think what really feels the best about this series is that so many people have said to me how much fun they've had being back in River's Edge, even though they weren't the Flahertys that were being written about. And that they loved meeting some new people and, you know, having new stories about other people in River's Edge. That's been fun.
Well, give our listeners an elevator pitch for the book. You can do it, Nan. You can do it.
Everyone hates the elevator pitch.
It's like 2 sentences. Quick, tell us what the book is about. Let's see. How about, a sunny nursery school teacher decides to drag her former crush, a grumpy fire chief, into the holiday events in their small town, believing he needs some Christmas cheer, but neither of them anticipate falling in love.
And who doesn't love a grumpy sunshine?
Right.
You know what? Isn't that fun? I've never done one before, and it was the best fun.
Really? You've never done one before?
No. Everybody's always just, real laid back and easy. And
What was it that made you decide to go with that dynamic for this book?
I just thought he'd kind of come across as a little bit grumpy in the other 2 books, in his brother's books. And I thought, well, maybe we can play with this a little bit. Who would be a good person for Beck? And I just love Harley, especially when she had the little encounter with Riker at the bakery about, he asked her, "Did you break my heart?" And she said, "Yeah." Or "Did I break your heart?" That was it. And she said, "Yeah, you broke my heart." And I thought, she's a cool person. She might really bring something good out in Becker. And, Becker needed a story. So there we have it.
There you have it. Yeah.
Well, chapter 1 really shows us what kind of people Harley and Beck are. Can you talk about how you came up with the opening chapter and why you chose to start the book the way you did?
Well, I really wanted Harley's rose-colored glasses attitude to come through loud and clear from the very beginning. Because although she has this lovely life, we find out as the story progresses that it's not, all Skittles and beer. She lost her dad at a really young age, and her mom.
I just love that you said Skittles and beer. That is so on brand for you, Nan. Okay, keep going.
I'm dating myself, you know it. She lost her dad at a really young age, and her mom, whom she's always been close to, is disappearing into Alzheimer's, and she hasn't had very good luck at love. And I knew that all those things would be reasons that readers would fall in love with her. And I needed them also, though, to like Beck right away and not wonder why Harley would even be interested in it because, he's kind of a grumpy divorce guy. So even though he's kind of uncomfortable in that very first scene doing this program for the kids, he showed up and he did the program and he let the little ones crawl over his beloved fire truck. And he took Harley's desire to bring him into the holidays in a good spirit later on at the restaurant. And so I think you see immediately that he's really a good guy and that he would walk across hot glass for anybody he loves. And he's just self-protecting. And I think that comes out right away. And so it's really important for both of them to be likable, complex characters. That's what I was going for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope I got that.
You did. And I think thinking about the grumpy sunshine dynamic, so one of the quotes that I highlighted was, "Now here's the best advice I can give you about men, honey." And it's the same advice my mother gave me. I just feel like your voice is so distinct. Anyways, now here's the best advice I can give you about men, honey. And it's the same advice my mother gave me when I fell in love with your dad. What you see is what you get. Don't try to change him because change is his choice, not yours. And I was like, oh, that is so Becker.
Do you know what's funny about that quote? That is right out of my grandmother's mouth. When I married my husband, I was 19 years old and he was 24. And my grandmother, who at the time was falling into dementia,
Okay.
said to me, "You're awfully young to be getting married," which was ironic given the fact that she was younger than me when she got married. But it was,
Right.
the 1920s back then.
We just let grandmothers say what they do, say what they want.
Yeah, you don't. But then she said to me, "You just need to remember this. Keep that sense of humor. It's critical. And what you see is what you get. And if that's not what you want to live with for the rest of your life, do not make that walk down the aisle." And that just really resonated with me, even though I was only 19 years old and crazy mad in love. But, here I am 50 years later, crazy mad in love. So
Yeah.
it worked.
Okay, I have to share one more quote, and maybe this has a story, maybe it doesn't. Okay, so it's later. It says, "Here's the thing: I can't be your happy place if you can't be mine too." And this is like I don't want to spoil it, but that moment. Can you talk about writing that moment when Harley is just like, "Yeah, I want you in my life, but we're not going to do it like this."
I think that's really it. She so wanted him. She was so crazy about him, but she saw where he was at that point in time. And
Yeah.
she knew that he couldn't be who she needed him to be if he didn't look at himself and figure out who he really was. And she was so smart in this book, I thought. I mean, I feel like I'm talking about somebody else's book, but she just really understood what she needed, and she wasn't going to settle for less.
Right.
And that was really where it was. And he finally figured that out. That he wanted to be with her, and he was going to have to change his attitude a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, where did the inspiration for the old red fire truck come from?
I love you asked me this question. Many years ago, before either of you were born, back in the 70s, I was an antiques dealer as well as an antiques feature editor for a local magazine that eventually became Indianapolis Monthly. It's still in publication. And we had an antique shop in an old restored home northwest of the city. And the owners of the building had this old fire truck from the 30s that they used for advertising. And the owner, a guy named Joe, drove Santa in a parade one Christmas while we had the shop. And I always wanted to put that in the book. So I finally got a chance to.
You did. I swear every time we talk to you, we get some snippet of your life, and it's just like, Nan is even cooler this time than she was the last time.
Oh, bless your
You were
heart.
an antiques dealer. Of course you were.
Oh, we had so much fun with that antique shop, and we ended up closing it because our son was born, and it was really hard to take antiques around to shows and things with a baby. I was a stay-at-home mom until he was about 11, but I also did a lot of editing and that kind of thing for people.
Yeah.
So, but
Okay,
we
this
had
is
a
just
good time.
nerdy me. I have always wanted to know, like, how do you run an antique business? Like, how do you get the stuff, and how do you keep an antique business going? I've
Well,
always wanted to know.
auctions and garage sales and barn sales and things like that. We used to have people come in and say, "Do you buy antiques?" And your immediate reaction is to go, "No, we make them." But obviously we did. It was, you just wander around. There's auctions all the time, and people back then more than now, I think, people had like garage sales, and you'd walk around neighborhoods and find things, and
Wow.
just wandering around. And a lot of people would come into the shop and say, "I've got this in the back of my car or in the bed of my pickup truck. Do you want to come and take a look?" And sometimes it was stuff that was worth buying. Yeah.
Wow. I wonder how antique stores are. I mean, because they're still a thing, but like, how are they thriving now? Are they using social media? Like, I don't know. I always think of
I
like
don't know.
American Pickers, that show on the History
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Channel.
Yeah, that's a cool show. Yeah. I'm kind of addicted to both Antiques Roadshow on PBS, but also on BritBox. There's England's Antique Roadshow, British Antique Roadshow. That's really cool because people there, they have some really old stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We don't know what old is here in this country.
Our stuff isn't that old, right?
No.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Bree, because you drive through these small towns sometimes, and there's like nothing except the road and four antique shops on
Yeah.
Main Street,
Yeah.
right?
Do you know that's funny? You should mention that, Erin, because when we go to the lake, we kind of take the back way. We don't go down the big highway. And this little back road has this little town in it. And there's like 6 antique shops and a restaurant and a bar, a post office, and a gas station. And you're like,
One
that
restaurant, 6 antique shops.
is your whole life is this just, and I think, what's it like to live in a town like that?
I'm just saying, Nan, I feel like we need a future antique dealer, in
Well,
a book.
we have Clyde. Clyde Schwimmer has that antique store, Antiques and Uniques.
We do.
Yeah, and his wife Gloria, they're rocking it. But maybe they need to have a little more in the next story. I don't know. Everybody gets a story in that town. So
Yeah. I feel like every time we talk, we're like giving you like can we get this in the next book or the next series?
Last time we talked about DJs and that kind of thing. And I told you about the guy who's a huge Thule fan. He's such a nice person. And so he doesn't know this yet, but if he listens to this, he will. He's in the second Weaver Sisters book.
Oh my gosh.
Not him. I mean, it's not, he has to, nobody will know it's him, but
Yeah.
he's a DJ in that book.
Oh, that's so cool.
You guys convinced me to do the DJ thing. So, watch for book 3 because you never know. You may find yourselves in there.
Oh gosh. Erin's doing the traffic report.
Mhm. From the helicopter, Erin.
Yes,
Oh gosh,
that's
Erin.
right. If I don't pass out, on the way up. Well, Nan, can you tell us how Harley's word collection quirk came to you?
Well, here's a little confession. That's me.
Knew it, of course.
I
It was
collect
so
words.
fun.
I have notebooks. I have several notebooks actually with words. I love words. I love learning new words. As a matter of fact, if you go to booksbywomen.org, my article is there about how much I love using French. And it's about words too. So Harley just seemed like a good person to give that little trait to. So, and it made a good connection between she and Beck, as they were kind of feeling their way in their relationships, something to talk about.
Yeah, it was such a cute moment when she confesses it because
Yeah.
you're like reading it and you can tell like she's like, oh, I really don't want to tell him this, but I'm going to tell him it. And he was just
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that's cool.
It's a little nerdy. It's a little nerdy. That's okay.
I loved it. Yeah. Well, we don't want to spoil it, but we have to ask what inspired the choice to go the route you did with Donald Lang?
So did that kind of get to you?
It got to me. Yeah. It got to us.
Well, one more time, that's right out of my own life. My dad abandoned us, me and my 3 siblings, when I was 5 years old. And he was Don Lang in that he never accepted responsibility for his family. He really didn't want to be burdened with kids or a wife, and we rarely saw him. But when he developed stage 4 esophageal cancer about 23 years ago, he came to all of us expecting us to help him, even though we hadn't seen him or talked to him. But we were raised by my mom, who's a good woman. And so we did what we could for him. But just like Don, he never did apologize for abandoning us. And he didn't think he had done anything wrong in leaving a wife and 4 kids in an era when women had very few rights. I knew Don really intimately.
Yeah.
And my mom worked her butt off to keep food on the table and a roof over our heads, just like Jane Lang. And she went to school to become a nurse, just like Jane Lang. And my oldest sister, who was 12 when my father left us, ended up being Becker, basically, taking care of the other 3 of us while mother worked and went to school full time. So I'm guessing there were probably some issues I was working out as I wrote this book. A little bit of catharsis going on. I don't know. It turned out to be way more real for me than I had imagined that it would when I first started Don's story back in Riker's book. But I think I'm glad I did it. And I've had a lot of readers contact me and say, man, that was something.
Yeah, it was I think a really beautiful and powerful gear shift to the story, because you do see the boys being protective of their mom. Like we don't need to get her involved in this. She doesn't need to know. She's happy, all of that. But at the same time, you're seeing like she did raise them to be these men that are like, okay, he's here, we have to like help him out kind of thing. But also, I think specifically for Becker, it's like getting that perspective of the child that did have to like step up and grow up a lot quicker than they probably would have wanted to or should have. But I think there was a moment when Don says, like, basically you have this moment where it's like, but you guys turned out great, greater than you probably would have had I stayed here, kind of thing. And it's just like
Yeah.
this really weird push and pull of like, you wish he would have stuck around, but look at the great things you guys are doing, and it has nothing to do with him having been around, kind of thing. So I don't know, like, what do you have to say about that part of it?
Well, I think that is probably the same thing that happened in my own life. My dad didn't contribute anything to our childhood, and I think all of us, we turned out okay. We all turned out okay.
Yeah.
And so it worked out. And I think that mother got to do a lot more things that she would choose for us to know and have and be than she could have if dad had been around. So because he really, like, this is a stupid story, but one of the things that he told me once was one of the reasons he left was because he would come home from work and mother would have us all on the sofa bed. She'd open up the sofa bed and she'd have all of us sitting around her and she'd be reading to us instead of making his dinner. And that really ticked him off. But, look at what happened. We all are readers and we all, we love reading and books and, mother really put that into us. And so maybe if she had lived her life more the way he wanted her to, we wouldn't have had that. So,
Yeah.
And I think, for Jane and the boys, they love her and they want her to be happy. And, this person, I think that their expectation, I think Riker's expectation was more than everybody else's, but I think that they finally eventually learned that this is who he was and he wasn't going to be anyone else.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, why don't we move on to something a little more fun here? It's game
That's a little
time.
deep, isn't it? Whoosh.
That's all right. We like getting deep here sometimes, but we'll switch gears here.
Sure.
So, are you ready for a game, Nan?
Oh, I love games.
All right. Well, we're going to play which character from the Lange Brothers series would, and the first one is which character from the series would most likely begin their day by checking their horoscope app.
Oh, let's see. Probably Harley, because but just only as a little fun thing that she would do with friends, like the Weaver sisters and the Flaherty wives. She's close friends with all those women, and that'd probably be just a fun thing. Becker would just say, "Oh, that's crap."
Right. Harley needs to read it, before she goes to the nursery school for the day.
Yeah, really. What kind of day is it going to be today?
Okay. Which character would have had the worst dating profile bio once upon a time?
Oh, that would be Beck.
Oh,
it would probably read like he was 75 instead of 39. Kind of one of those things where it's like, don't expect me to go to any parties with you, but if you want to work on my old car with me, here's a wrench, and hey, watch out for your sweater because it's white and it'll get dirty. That would be his profile.
His would be something like, sleep all day because I work all night.
Right, exactly. Yes. And damn that kitten.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which character would most likely have ghosted a date once upon a time?
I would, I'm inclined to say neither one of them would have done that. They're both nice people. But on the other hand, I could totally see Harley going to the restroom and then never coming back.
Yeah.
If a date was really bad, really hideous.
Well, it could be any of the characters from the entire series. So it could be any of the brothers or whatever.
Riker would have done it in a heartbeat.
Call him out, why don't you, man?
He was like, this isn't working, I'm going by.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I kind of think that's what he was known for before Kit came along.
Notorious ghoster. Okay.
How's that work out in a small town?
Right. Oh, yeah, Aaron.
Not very well.
All the old matchmaking ladies are like, no, stay away from this one, honey, because he ghosts people, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So which character, Nan, would have had the most which character would have the most random of videos go viral on TikTok, and what would their content consist of?
That's a tough one because I don't think either of my main characters would be on TikTok, not in a heartbeat. Harley might be tempted, but the only thing she'd want to post would be her classroom antics, and you can't do that without permission from the parents, so probably not her. Beck's not on social media at all except for the stupid neighborhood app where he puts the cat.
Maybe he starts making cat videos.
I can't see him doing that, you guys.
No.
You guys are really, but
Does Beck even have like an updated iPhone? We don't even know.
No, he barely has a phone. But maybe Mac at the Riverside might do like some foodie videos. That would be fun, don't you think?
Yeah, that would be fun.
Or maybe Aiden, or actually maybe even Aiden's stepson Mateo would do stuff from the riverboat.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be cool? But and then also, how about the brothers, the Flahertys? Because every year they do that Black Friday thing where they bring Thanksgiving. They tell you to bring your Thanksgiving turkey sandwiches to the winery and have a glass of wine instead of going shopping. That would be a cool video.
That would be a cool video. Yeah, I would love little teacher content from Harley. Like she could do those outfit of the day TikTok videos that the teachers do.
Yeah. I have my friend Lonnie, who was my editor on my series before I signed with Thule, keeps telling me I need to do TikTok, and I'm like, Lonnie, I'm 69 years old.
You could do some really fun, snarky videos, though, Nan.
Oh yeah. I think Nan is made for TikTok.
You are. You really don't realize how much you are, Nan, and you should.
My son keeps telling me I should. He goes, "I'll help you do them." I'm like, "When?" He's so I don't know. Maybe one day, but right now, the most I can do is Instagram.
Yeah.
I get
you have
up
books
on
to write, so we get it.
And
I have
7 books in the next 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, look at you.
You need to do a lot of mini NaNoWriMos.
I know. And plus, I'm working for other people too. So.
Yep. Yeah. You also have editing.
Being the editor. So I got plenty to do without TikTok.
Well, the last time we chatted, you mentioned that you were writing a new series, but still set in River's Edge. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but how is the writing coming along? And is there any updates that you can share with us about this series?
Oh, I've written 2 of them so far, and they're both in production now. The first one comes out. It's called The Carpenter's Heart, and it comes out in April 2023. I'm not sure the exact date. It's the Weaver sisters, the triplets whose family owns a marina just east of town, and it's Jasmine and Joanna and Jenny. They all have their own stories, but it's kind of fun because I've woven. I say we because I don't know why I say we, because I've woven the sisters' relationship is really important throughout all 3 books because they're triplets and they're close and they have this special kind of bond that, a lot of siblings don't have because they didn't share a womb. And book 1 is Jasmine's story. And I can tell you the back cover blurb if you want to hear it.
Okay.
So the back cover blurb is, she's determined to start a new chapter. So why is she still drawn to a man from her past? When Jasmine Weaver, the chief of staff to a powerful D.C. congresswoman, chose integrity, she didn't anticipate ringing the new year in disgraced, unemployed, and sleeping in her childhood bedroom. Now back in River's Edge, identical triplet Jazz has her sister's support while she plans her next step, and she agrees to lead the committee for their high school's 15th reunion, never dreaming that her co-chair is the man who broke her teenaged heart. As the new CEO of Walker Construction, Elias Walker has taken the family business to a new level of success. He's buried himself in work to ease the grief of losing his fiancée several years earlier and wants nothing more than to be a carpenter again. Elias grudgingly agrees to co-chair the high school reunions committee, but when Jazz Weaver blows into town, suddenly anything seems possible. These high school sweethearts have lived half their lives apart. Can they reinvent themselves back in the town where it all began? So that's Jazz and Eli.
That sounds really good.
Eli's family will be the next series. The Walkers, his cousins and his brother will be the next series, the next 4 books after the Weavers. So we're staying in River's Edge, baby. And guess what? I just found out today that I'm going to do a book signing down in the little town that River's Edge is based on. So I'm really excited about doing that.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be so much
That's
fun.
exciting.
Okay, so let's get into some holiday questions since this is a holiday release. Do you have a favorite holiday romance you have read that you would recommend our listeners pick up?
Oh my goodness. I have a million, but I
Okay,
won't name
no
them all
problem. Whatever
now.
you want to tell
Um,
us.
I am currently reading Jane Porter's Once Upon a Christmas. It's so good. An American girl goes to England and falls in love with a guy whose family has this old house. It's really cool. And Susan Sands, I don't know if you know who she is, but she wrote a Christmas story called The Bayou Christmas, and she just does the best Southern romance. She's
Yeah.
just really cool. She's got a great voice. And Fortune Whalen's My Christmas with You is the last book in her Dorsey Brothers series, and I just love me some Dorseys. Those brothers are so much fun.
We've got to get Fortune on the
We do,
podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
you guys would love her. She's such a hoot. And then if you like a little cozy mystery with your holidays, Kaz Delaney is an Aussie writer for Thule who has a whole series with this woman. She's kind of like, Murder, She Wrote type stories called Murder Below the Mistletoe, which is really fun. And then let's see, for historical Christmas romance, Carla Cartoville's Christmas at Belhaven Hall is really good. And yeah, I know that I'm recommending a lot of Thule books, but I get so little time
Recommend 'em.
to read for pleasure that
Yeah.
I really try to read my colleagues, and they're so great. It's it's just a blessing to be able to read them. But I tell you what, I also have a fondness for my bestie Liz Flaherty's Christmas stories. She has like 5 or 6 novellas that were part of the Christmastown box sets. But now you can buy them all on their own. I think there's like the Magic Stocking, the Dark Horse, the Gingerbread Heart. They're just sweet stories. They're just such sweet stories. And they're short and fun little reads. So
Okay.
Yeah.
how's that?
I love it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite holiday film to watch?
I love holiday films. I love the movie The Holiday because
Me
I
too.
love that movie. It's like it's got everything. A great story and a fabulous cast, and Jude Law. What more do you need? And my husband and I, we both love the old classics like White Christmas and Holiday Inn and Miracle on 34th Street with Natalie Wood, and I just like anything Christmassy, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I loved that part. Like, oh gosh, there's so many like iconic moments in that film. But like, is it Kate Winslet? Is that
It's
how you
Kate
say her name?
Winslet, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The relationship she builds, like with the older gentleman, I think he was like an old screenwriter or something. Like,
Yes,
I
isn't that
just
precious?
loved that.
Yes.
And can we not sleep on Jack Black as a romance hero? Like, I thought he was adorable in that movie, and he did such a good
fabulous.
job.
Yes. He is my kind of romantic hero because he's funny and he's kind and he's sweet. He was beta all the way, but just so cool,
Yeah.
It's a good
Okay,
movie.
what's one of your favorite holiday traditions?
Oh man, I love everything about Christmas. But I think my favorite thing would be maybe it's a tie between going to the Yuletide celebration at the Symphony, which we haven't been able to do for a couple of years because of COVID, and I've really missed it. And our tradition of sitting down on the sofa on Thanksgiving night with a piece of pie and a glass of wine to watch Holiday Inn. It's kind of like that's how we start Christmas every year.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
sometimes it's all of us together, and sometimes it's just husband and me. But Holiday Inn and pie and wine, that's how we start Christmas.
Erin, do you all do anything on because my Thanksgiving night tradition is watching the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I am so antsy. I'm like, let's just get Thanksgiving over with because I am ready to sit and watch this movie. Like, do you all do anything, Erin, or no?
Not really, other than, eat way too much food and, at least
that's what
2
it's
of
all
us
about
fall asleep
anyway.
on a couch,
Yeah.
somewhere. So.
That's the tradition. It's fine.
That's right. That's right.
Well, lastly, Nan, where can everyone keep up with you online?
Oh, I'm so easy to find, you guys. It's embarrassing. My website, nanreinhardt.com, has always all the latest news. Plus, I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as @NanReinhardt. And I'm on the Thule website with a bunch of other terrific authors at thulepublishing.com and then /authors/Nan-Reinhardt. But I'm so easy to find because it's just Nan Reinhardt. It made me really glad that I didn't use a pen name because it makes me easy to find. So
yeah.
And I'm on Instagram just about every day, pictures of the house or pictures of the grandboy or whatever.
And listeners, she does have like the funnest blog to keep up with. So, all of your stuff will be linked down below. We just always love catching up with you and cannot wait to, chat more books with you. Cause 7 in the next 2 years. So,
You guys
we
are going to
have to
be
talk the
sick of
Weaver
me.
sisters. We have to talk the Walkers when they come out. Like, you're just a powerhouse. You're a true powerhouse, an absolute force. We
Oh,
can't
bless
wait to
your
chat with
heart.
you again.
Yeah.
My mother would so love to hear someone say that about me because she always thought I was kind of boring.
Not in the least.
Not in the least. This episode is dedicated to Mom, though, for real.
Yes.
This is dedicated to her.
Somewhere in heaven, she's looking down on me going, "Hey, kid, you did it.
You did it."